Shot short. Rebound tipped and taken by James. Here comes James in the open floor. James grabbed from behind. Count it. Goaltend and one.
Welcome to the And One podcast with my co-host Alex and myself, Gunnar, as we tackle today's topics all across the NBA. On this episode, Alex and I talk about the NBA playoffs, the MVP race, and should LeBron be traded. We hope you guys enjoy. Please leave a like and subscribe to the podcast.
Buenas noches, everyone. Alex here along with Gunnar, and we're going to dive straight into the NBA playoffs. Gunnar, man, these playoffs have been about as unpredictable as it gets. What has been your biggest takeaway from the playoffs so far?
So my biggest takeaway has been, I think, watching the playoffs for the past few years, playoffs are all about survival. It doesn't matter, like, talent obviously does matter, depth does matter, coaching, the players' ability all matters, but at the end of the day, the team that's left standing, the healthiest, is going to be the one that comes out victorious, because over the past few years, we've seen that while the Toronto Raptors were a great team, I don't think they would have been the Warriors if KD and other players did not get hurt. And the Milwaukee Bucks championship last year might not have even happened if the Nets didn't get hurt, or the Suns might not even be there if the Nuggets didn't get hurt. So that's kind of my biggest takeaway. Playoffs are very much about survival and about just enduring through long series.
Okay, I respect that. So I'm going to kind of take a, I guess, controversial approach. So
Okay.
to me, the biggest takeaway is Steve Nash does not need to be Brooklyn's head coach. I mean, you just look at the overall picture of the playoffs. Every team, I don't know if you knew this, every team in the NBA that were in the playoffs won a playoff game.
Yep.
Every team. Brooklyn did not. How is a team led by Kevin Durant, one of the most gifted shooters of all time, alongside one of the most skilled dribblers ever in Kyrie Irving, how do they not win a game? After watching the first game, I thought Brooklyn was going to win 4 straight. I seriously did, because you just look at the defensive scheme that they had out there. Why is Bruce Brown guarding Al Horford? Why? I asked myself that the whole game. Every Brooklyn Nets fan just went on a tangent saying, "Oh, Bruce Brown, he plays and does all the little things for us." Yeah, he might get a teardrop here and there because Kevin Durant's getting face guarded by 2 players. But where's Bruce Brown when it matters? He's guarding Al Horford, and Al Horford bodied him every single game. Game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4. I don't care that Bruce Brown scored 20 points. He should not be in on crunch time playing defense on Al Horford. What is Steve Nash thinking?
I absolutely agree. But I think another thing we could go even deeper on is, like, he has a lot of players to work with, like LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin. And I'm not going to act these guys are in their prime. Like, I'm not saying like this is LaMarcus Aldridge from Portland or freaking, like Blake Griffin from Lob City, but they're still able players. We saw them make good contributions last year in and out of the playoffs. And in the last game, game 4, we saw Blake Griffin play. He made a good
Yes. Exactly, bro. I don't get it. Blake Griffin played so well in that crunch time. Why was he not playing game 1, 2, 3? That made no sense to me.
I didn't get it either. I think what I took away is, like, so my mom's kind of a Brooklyn Nets fan. She said that Steve Nash would put in people. I think what I've heard is that he would put in people who wanted it more. So I don't know if that's something to do with it. I don't know if that's a good take, but I think I think Steve Nash thought of it like, I honestly don't. I can't really think of a good reason. I think Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge should have played because they would have given the Nets more size and length. And we saw Blake Griffin do a decent job. Not fantastic, but an okay job at slowing down Giannis last year in the second round. So I agree. I think that Steve Nash he should have played Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge more this year. I mean, they played the beginning of the year, but they just fell completely out of the rotation. So I agree. I think they should have used more of the depth they had available.
I mean, and I'm just like kind of like mad at his defensive scheme, but you could even go deeper, as you said, and look at their offensive scheme. Dude, it was so bad, dude. Their offense was so predictable. It was running through Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving every possession. What happened whenever the Celtics threw 2-faced defenders at Kevin Durant. Brooklyn had no offense at all. They couldn't do anything. They had no ball movement whatsoever. Bruce Brown, he doesn't know how to freaking handle the ball. You know what I mean? Like, Goran Dragic was carrying the load at one point. Kevin Durant was two guys on him, so Goran Dragic had to carry the load. But there was just a bunch of ISO ball the whole year for Brooklyn, and I think that's what eventually cost them, because once Kevin Durant was getting three defenders at a time, he was deferring the ball to his teammates, and they were not coming up at all. You know what I mean?
I also think a big part of the reason the Nets couldn't get anything going in the playoffs is because of Kyrie Irving's vaccination stance. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving over the past 2 years have not played a lot together. I think they might have played like a quarter of the games they've had available with each other, whether that's because of injuries or vaccination like issues with Kyrie Irving and the Nets organization. Like before the playoffs, I don't even think Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving played like 30 games together that season. I think they played like 21, but the fact was like they played a little bit, but they didn't play nearly enough to like sustain a good playoff run and have chemistry going into the playoffs. Now, I still think last year, even though Harden, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant, they barely played together, they're so offensively gifted as a trio that they could have gone all the way, but injuries got them because all three of them are injury-prone superstars. So at the end of the day, I think that it was just like it was a low seeding, the vaccination issues, and that like Steve Nash just didn't run enough sets that were good enough for the Nets to win playoff games.
And to just kind of go to your first point about what was your takeaway, it's what you said is facts, man. And it's been facts for like the past 5 years. You can even go back to the 2016 NBA Finals, the 2015 NBA Finals. Key injuries cost teams the playoffs. You look at 2015 Golden State and the Cavaliers, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love both go out. The Cavaliers losing 6. Dude, I'm sure if they had Kyrie and Kevin Love, the Cavs win that series. But, injuries trump all in the playoffs. And it's been happening really badly these past 2 rounds, man. Like, you look at the 70s, Joel Embiid cannot catch a break, man. Joel Embiid goes out. Dude, and even another key injury I wasn't even thinking about in the Mavericks Suns game that no one seems to be talking about, Tim Hardaway Jr. has been injured. I completely forgot about that, bro. He was the best player last year. He was averaging 17 points per game. He's not even playing. So I just can't with these injuries, man. Like, it's costing like so many like great playoff games. You got Chris Middleton's out now. So now that's dude, Marcus Smart was also injured. Like, dude, these guys are dropping like dead flies. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree, but I think in a way, like, I'm not going to say I like injuries, but they make the playoffs more unpredictable. Like, because like if the Suns are like, if Devin Booker's there the whole time, it's just a sweep. That's what I had projected. But like when the injuries are a factor, it can make certain playoff series more interesting. However, I agree that it's frustrating as a fan of basketball. Like, I'm not even a Nets fan, but I just want to see Kyrie and KD play. When you have these issues, it's just frustrating as a fan to see that happen. But for me, I think that I would prefer the NBA play less games, but that will never happen. But I think injuries can play a negative factor in the playoffs, but they can also make it more interesting in certain series.
Okay, so kind of looking at some of these series.
Right.
Like, now, I'm not going to lie. Like, I think other than the Heat 76ers series, from an entertainment standpoint, they've all been super entertaining.
Yeah.
And if Joel Embiid comes back, I still give the 76ers a shot, but I saw game 3. He's listed as out. So they're probably going to be down 3-0 unless James Harden's legacy is on the line for that game for sure. He was so bad last game. But looking at the Bucks Celtics series, this series is 1-1. It's going back to Milwaukee. If I'm Milwaukee, I'm feeling great. You don't have Chris Middleton, but you took one on the road. If you're a road team and you split, that's a win. That is a win for you, right? So right now it's 2-2. Pretty sure they play tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Who do you have in this series?
You're talking about the Celtics and Bucks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, honestly, this is hard, but that's super hard because I feel like this is like, for me personally, I've been thinking like every year this could be Tatum's year to break out as a superstar, because I think Tatum has all the things that could make a superstar. He's tall, He's got length, pause. He's like, he can play. He has the ability to play good defense. They're well coached. They've been now I granted, he wasn't the main force, but they have been the Eastern Conference Finals like 2 or 3 times. So to me, I see it as like the Celtics could be like the next Bucks, because the Bucks, they kept making playoff runs, but they keep getting slowed down by teams. But part of me is like, I think this is the year for the Celtics to break out. But I also think Giannis is playing a lot more free now that he's won a championship. He doesn't have that pressure on him. So for me, I'm going to take the Bucks in 7. I say that Giannis wins.
Bucks in 7. Okay.
I think it's going 7 games straight up. I think it's going 7 games at least. I don't see it going 6. I think it's going 7 games.
So I'm pretty sure Chris Middleton is out this whole series. I think They said last week he's out for 4 weeks. So there's no way he's coming back this series unless maybe a potential game 7. I still don't even think he'd play in that. But it just, honestly, if it goes 7 games, man, I just think if it goes 7 games, I think the Celtics will win. But I have the Bucks winning. I have the Bucks winning at 6.
Right.
But as I said, if it goes 7, I give the edge to Boston, because you look at game 2, Giannis, I don't know if you watched the game. At the beginning of the game, he was so rough, man. He started the game 0 for 6. He wasn't getting that whistle. He finished the game 11 for 9 free throws, man. When he's not getting that whistle, and he's not going to get that whistle on the road in TD Garden in Boston, it's going to be much tougher for him to get his points. He ended it with 28. But he took 27 shots. You know what I mean? So games in Boston, really hostile environment. I would lean definitely Boston to win that. But right now, I do have the Bucks winning that series in 6. So looking forward to Warriors, Grizzlies tied up at 1 apiece. Some breaking news: Dylan Brooks will be suspended Game 3 after injuring Gary Payton. What are your thoughts on this series, Gunnar?
I personally think he should get suspended because, in my opinion, when I saw the game, I think it was a blatant foul on Gary Payton III. Yep. So I think honestly, he's going to be out for 3 to 5 weeks. So I think honestly, I wouldn't mind him being banned for the series. And I'm not a fan of either team. I just think he should ban the whole series if that's what is going on. But in my opinion, I think the Warriors are going to win one way or another, or another, because while the problem with the Grizzlies, and we've seen the last series, is that they make too many dumb decisions. Now, granted, they are a resilient young team. They know how to bounce back, but they just take too many threes. They turn the ball over, and they just put I don't know if Ja's played great last game, but what I've realized, the only way the Grizzlies win these games is if Ja Morant goes off. And I don't know if he could do that consistently enough for them to win the series. And I just think the Warriors are more experienced. And I think the Warriors win in 6 or 7 to go to the Western Conference Finals.
Okay, so for me, right off the bat, I agree with you. I think the Warriors win this. Many people are going to look at this game, say, oh my God, Ja Morant dropped 47. The Warriors are playing no type of defense.
Right.
They're going to get rolled. First of all, the Warriors won on the road without Draymond. That's a huge win. And then obviously with the Gary Payton situation, come on. I think this is a win for Golden State to go back to the Bay Area, one of the toughest places to play in the playoffs right now. You don't want to go there. You don't want to go to San Francisco and play over there right now. And something that no one seems to be talking about, are we just going to act Klay Thompson didn't shoot 5 for 19, 2 for 12 from 3? Steph Curry, 3 for 11 from 3. Yep. You think the Splash Bros are going to shoot, 5 for 23 from 3 in the Bay Area? No, that's not going to happen, man. You think Ja Morant's going to get the whistle he's getting? He got 13 free throws. You think he's going to get that whistle in San Francisco? No, he's not going to get that. And they won by 5 points. And there was a key foul. I believe it was Scott Foster. Yes, it was Scott Foster. Scott Foster he was the head ref of the game.
Yeah.
And there was about 50 seconds left. Golden State they had 101 points. Grizzlies were up by 1 or 2, so it was 101 to 103. Draymond goes for a rebound. Ja Morant also goes for a rebound, but Ja Morant doesn't get it, so he falls to the ground. Scott Foster is reffing the player, not reffing the game, because any Any other any other player, any other ref is not making that call. So Draymond Green gets upset, rightfully so, in my opinion, slams the
Right.
ball. John Morant makes 2 free throws, and that basically ended the ball game right there because it's a 4-point game. Klay Thompson goes down, and he gets called for a carry, and game's over.
Was
So
it? I thought it was a loose ball foul, but no, I think, or was it? I don't remember. No, I think you're right. But
it was a loose ball foul on a rebound attempt. Yeah, I mean, real ticky time. They should not have called it, in my opinion. Draymond Green was going for the rebound. So was John Morant. One of them ends up on the ground, so they just blew the whistle. But anyways, I'm gonna take the Warriors in 5, man. I don't think if the Grizzlies win a game in the Bay Area, I will be completely shocked. Because if they do that, then they have the potential to win the series. But I don't see them doing it.
I personally think I think they're going to win like one in the Bay Area, but I don't think it's going to be like the one. I think it's on. Is it on ABC Saturday night? I think that's when they're playing. I don't know. But the next game, I don't. I see the Warriors winning the next game and going up 2-1, but I think the Grizz will win that next game because I think they'll bounce back and like be resilient enough to get through that one game. But I think that the Grizzlies. I mean, I don't. I just don't see the Grizzlies winning the series. And another thing too, like you talk about the refs, like I think the refs in the NBA are the most frustrating because while NFL reffing is kind of different because like they're like one call can like affect the whole like that Saints Rams NFC Championship that was bad, but for me like when it's like the last minute and like the refs are making ticky tack calls, like it's kind of frustrating because I'm like it's like they're because they'll be like not calling fouls the whole game with elbows, but now's the time they're going to call it. Like that's some Scott Foster issues. So like I don't know, like the reffing's kind of frustrating, but I agree. I think the Warriors win in 6 or 7, but I just think the Grizz will give them some challenge. Only because I think John Morant will have like a few 40-point games that'll keep, kind of like how Jimmy Butler did against the Lakers in the finals. Like he'll have like a few great games that'll keep him in the series, but they won't win it.
Okay, so I actually misspoke earlier. Tomorrow's games are Heat 76ers, Suns, Mavericks. And just
Okay.
kind of looking, at the Heat 76ers game right now, they got the spread up already.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Miami's only a 3-point favorite, which is very weird. The last 2 games, they were like a 9-point favorite, 9.5-point favorite. I know it's in Philadelphia, but that's an interesting spread. Do you think Miami can win this game tomorrow by 3 points or more? Or
Uh,
do you think the 76ers take one with no
I,
Joel Embiid?
Embiid's not there tomorrow?
He's not. He's out. He's ruled out. Yeah, tomorrow.
That's hard. I still think here's my thing. Like I'm just going to say this is a hot take. Well, actually, no, it's not. I think Harden's washed. I just like, I think his conditioning's off. Like he can still facilitate and run an offense immaculately, but like in terms of his finishing ability and his step back threes, like he's not getting free throws. He's basically not scoring. Like we've seen over the past 2 games. The only way he's been
it's
scoring.
been rough, bro. I think was he 1 for 10 last game, or was that a Photoshop?
I don't.
I swear I saw a picture on Bleacher Report yesterday from the day before when he played. It said 1 for 10 when he was at the wasn't free throws, but he was at the free throw line and said
Yeah.
1 for 10 field goals. And I was like, what in the world is happening to James Harden?
I just think his conditioning's off. Like he doesn't condition himself the same way as like LeBron does. I mean, like Embiid has had issues with that too, but even he's been like exercising and taking care of his body more, and he's still getting hurt. So I just think that Harden is personally just not he's not ever going to be his Houston self again. And like honestly, I think like at the end of the day, I think it'll take time, but I think the Nets won the trade. Even though if like Simmons, we talk about the back issues, but I think Harden just kind of passes prime. And I think the Sixers will get swept.
Okay, so I have this hypothetical then. So obviously we know Joel Embiid isn't playing. He's
Right.
not playing next game. So if the 76ers lose, they're down 3-0. Do you think it's smart if Joel Embiid comes and plays game 4? I mean, there's never been a team in NBA history to come back down 0-3. Would it be smart for the 76ers to play him, even though he'd be playing with like a torn ligament in his thumb, and he'd be playing like with a mask on because his eye situation?
I think I don't think they play him because like here's the thing. Now, if I was playing against the Sixers, then yeah, I'm down 3-0 against Doc Rivers. I'm going for it, because Doc Rivers is known for choking bad leads consistently. I mean, like the Hawks game last year, up 20 points, they blow that. They blow the 3-1 lead. Like, I mean, you can go back a decade and look at it. So yeah, I mean, if I'm playing against the Sixers, yeah, I'd play Embiid, but I think just let Embiid like rest and get ready for next season. Hopefully Harden, the best you can hope for is that Harden gets used to the system they run and just hope to like run it back and get like a number 1-2 slot. See in the East next year, even though the East will still be tough though.
So you think the Heat are sweeping them? First hot take of the night. I think the 76ers win tomorrow. And
okay,
it's not the craziest thing. I mean, we look back at the Hawks series. The Hawks are able to steal one back at their home. Wells Fargo Center is a tough place to play. Now, I think either James Harden or Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey went off last game. I think he had a 30-piece. So Tobias Harris has to step up. It has to be Tobias Harris or James Harden or Shake Milton or someone off the bench, George Niang. Someone needs to contribute. And it'll get Wells Fargo Center rocking. And when Wells Fargo Center is rocking, you don't want to be there, right? You already know how I feel about Wells Fargo Center. I think Philly is like one of the most toxic fan bases out there. But I will say this. If things are not going well for Philly tomorrow, their fans are going to voice their opinion on James Harden. I think James Harden's legacy is literally on the line tomorrow, because if he does not perform well, they will scold him. I mean, they've done it to Ben Simmons. They did it to Joel Embiid before, and they love Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid got scolded before. If you're not playing well in Philly, you're going to hear it from the fans. So I can't imagine James Harden's going to have another rough night, 3 rough nights or 3 rough playoff games in a row. Now, maybe he's washed, like you said, but I think he still has it in him. I think Philly wins this game. I think Joel Embiid comes back, game 4. They tie it up 2-2 apiece. Fair game. Next 2 games would be super interesting, because the thing is, Bam Adebayo has been able to just work the paint however he wants, because, dude, let's face it, DeAndre Jordan is – he's cooked, man. I don't know why Doc Rivers is going up there and saying, we believe in DeAndre Jordan. No, you don't. DeAndre Jordan played literally like 0.8 of a second in the previous series. Now you believe in him? If you believe in him, how come he didn't play at all last series?
That's
you know
facts.
what I mean? So I think 76ers win I think 76ers win tomorrow. They win tomorrow. I'm assuming Joel Embiid will come back for game 4, and I think they'll win that as well. And I think the 76ers will win the series in 7. That is my hot take. And that is if those 2 things happen. If they win tomorrow, because I think if they win tomorrow, Joel Embiid will come back for game 4. Now, if he doesn't come back for game 4, then I think Miami just floods 76ers, and it's 3-1 going back to Miami. But Joel Embiid comes back. He's an MVP candidate for a reason. I think they'll make a run. I think they'll advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. Enough ranting about that, though. Let's go to, honestly, one of the more entertaining series, Suns versus Mavericks. Now, the Mavericks are down 0-2, but I'm looking at the line right now, and it's even. So it's a pick 'em. There's no favorite in this game. They're both minus 110. First of all, who do you like tomorrow, Gunnar? Who do you think wins this game?
I honestly think the Mavericks, just because it's like home court, and I think like I think Luka. I expect Luka. Okay, I expect Luka to play good, but I think Brunson, Dinwiddie, or one of those guys are due for like to show up, because they've showed up against the Jazz last series, but I think one of them are going to show out. And while the problem with the Mavs, though, obviously is going to be their paint defense, because they got no size. Like Powell can't stop DeAndre Ayton. It's not like DeAndre Ayton's like a superstar center like Embiid, Jokic, or Giannis, but he's definitely better than Powell. So like, to me, I see the Mavs winning. It's going to be chippy. It's going to be close, but I think the Mavs win tomorrow by like maybe 3 points. Like maybe like I think Luka hits like a big shot and they win the game.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta agree with you. It just feels like one of those games, like everyone's just kind of counting them out. I saw a press conference video actually of Chris Paul and Devin Booker. They were asked a question about Luka Doncic, and they kind of just like smirked. Like, I mean, I didn't really get that. I think they kind of need to humble themselves a little bit. I think Luka's averaging 40 this series, so I don't know what they're trying to sneak diss him about. But I agree with you, man. Jalen Brunson, this series has been awful.
Yeah,
I think he's due for a big game. He shot 3 for 12 last game, only had 9 points. He was dropping 40 points against the Jazz. We don't need the Mavs don't need that from him. They just need a cool 18 to 23 points a game, a couple assists, and they'll be fine. I mean, we all know the Mavs defense is horrible, but the reason why they're so good is because the offense they run. I tell you all the time, they're one of the few teams in the NBA who run a 5-out offense because they don't have a true center. Dwight Powell's so undersized, but he has the stroke, pause. You know, you got Maxi Kleber and Davis Bertans. Those guys defensively are horrible. I mean, you look back at the Washington days, oh my God, man, they cannot defend a pick and roll to save their lives. But when you got Luka Doncic just ISOing, getting whoever he wants, any mismatch he wants, and he can just drive in every time, blow by his defender, get an easy layup, or if there's a help defender, kicks it out to the open man. If the Mavs are hitting their shots, which they statistically in the playoffs the past 2-3 seasons at home, I told you, they literally get superpowers at home. They literally make every single three. It makes zero sense. If they're hitting their threes, they can win this game. I mean, I thought they had it last game, but they came out of the second half and they just had nothing. They had no juice left, bro. They got ran out of the fucking game. I mean, you look at the fourth quarter, 26-40. I think at one point it was like a 20-2 run. And I'm just like, Jason, kid, you gotta call timeout, man. Like, come on. Like, you just let the game get away from you. But just looking at the overall series, who do you like? Do you still think Phoenix wins?
Yeah. I think that Phoenix are going to win in like 5 or 6.
5 or 6, yeah. Honestly, it kind of feels like a 5-game series. Sadly for Luka.
Yeah.
The team just around him, like I said, man. I wish they had Rudy Gobert.
Oh yeah.
So just kind of forecasting what your predictions are. You have the Suns advancing to the Western Conference Finals against Golden State, and you have the Miami Heat advancing against the Milwaukee Bucks. So
Correct.
just kind of looking at those and looking back at what you kind of thought would happen at the beginning of the season, how would you say, I guess, your prediction from the beginning of the season kind of panned out?
So, like everyone else, I thought it was going to be Lakers and Nets straight up because I thought you have LeBron, AD, Westbrook. I told you at the beginning of the year, I thought they were going to be like a 4th seed, but I thought they're going to. I told you
called it. You said that they were going to be horrible at the very beginning. I was like, nah, it's going to be the opposite. But you literally called it. You said they're going to be horrible at the beginning.
But I thought they're going to eventually. Yeah, I thought they were going to pick up their stride like before the All-Star break. But the problem with the Lakers, well, a few problems. One, they had injuries the whole time. 2, Frank Vogel's lineups were awful, like just terrible. And number 3, like there's too many old people on the team. And like me, I was thinking like this, like I didn't really think about it. Like I knew Melo was bad at defense, but oh my, like you see him on the play defense, he literally gets like ISO'd every play when I'm watching these games on ABC. It's freaking hideous, dude.
Dude, when you're getting called out by the Houston Rockets.
Oh yeah,
back-to-back seasons being a lottery team. I mean, you have Jalen Green, who is just literally ISOing, calling for Melo in the pick and roll. Dropping 30 on his head, and the Lakers are losing to the Houston Rockets with LeBron in the lineup. Dude, and wasn't that the game where LeBron James had a wide open layup and he passed it to Melo?
Oh yeah, no, that I remember that. Yeah, and then Skip Bayless got mad. Yeah, that was bad. Yeah. I mean, that team was just bad. And the Nets are even more disappointing because I thought the Nets were going to the finals straight up. I thought the Nets were going to the finals. I thought they were going to make a run through the East, But
okay, so dude, to be fair, it's not a bad take because, like you said, everyone and their mother had Lakers Nets. There was graphics everywhere. The day that Westbrook got traded to the Lakers, there was graphics everywhere. It was like, oh my God, this is gonna be the best new trilogy. Now, for me personally, I'm just gonna say, dude, if every team was healthy, I don't care what anyone says. If every team was healthy from the start of the season and so hypothetically, if Kyrie had got his shot as well, the finals would have been the LA Clippers versus the Brooklyn Nets, and that would have been one of the best finals ever.
Oh yeah.
But man, when is Kawhi coming back, man? When is Kawhi Leonard coming back?
Probably
bro?
Next season, but
I'm so sick and tired. I mean, I want, as a Thunder fan, obviously I want the Clippers to suck, and I'm happy we got their pick, which is a guaranteed at worst 12th. But dude, Kawhi Leonard, dude, like, dude, like he's like 28 years old, dude. If he would have played this season, I thoroughly believe they had a great opportunity to win the finals, and he would have won Finals MVP. Would have been his third Finals MVP at what age 28? 3 rings at age 28. Kawhi Leonard literally would have had an opportunity to become one of the GOATs, bro.
Yep.
But no, he's like, I don't know. He's always been weird with his injuries. Obviously, he's got to make sure he's right and everything. But dude, I just feel like he's been out forever. Like, when is he coming back?
I don't know. I mean, it's an ACL injury. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I'd say I feel like he'll probably come back. Like, I'm gonna guess Christmas. That's what I would assume, right? And then then the Clippers are real. Like, they just signed Covington to a deal, so like I think the Clippers, like everyone knows, like they're a prime contender with just Kawhi and Paul George. So like if they can just the Clippers just need to get healthy and they can go on a run. But that's been the problem. They just have not been healthy, and they gassed out in the bubble. So I think it's just like a matter of just waiting for the Clippers to get healthy and they can go on a championship run.
See, man, like I don't know their like contract situation going into next season, but that team they have constructed right now, Norman Powell, Robert Covington, man, Terrence Mann, yeah, they got so many shooters, bro. Like that team, if they have that same roster, which again, I said I don't know, like first of all, I don't know their cap situation. I don't know what the contracts, but they have that team next year. Oh my God, they're healthy. I just think, like, how can they not go to the finals, man? I mean, you see LeBron's like aging, like, dude. Kind of going back to the Lakers, man. The Lakers are screwed. What are they gonna do? Like even if Westbrook decides to like dip out and like say screw this, I'm taking my talents elsewhere, because Westbrook, he has a player option, right? So he can kind of decide, like, if he wants to say, he can just say screw it, pay me my $48 million. If he wants to decline and go anywhere he wants, he can do that. But regardless of what he does, the Lakers are screwed, dude. They have like 8 or 7 players that are free agents that were just on this team. And you think they have the cap space? No, they don't have the cap space at all. They're paying like 3 players over $300 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have the cap space. They're paying LeBron. They're paying 80. They're paying Westbrook, right? And now they're potentially going to lose, one of their best, or one of their, not, I'm going to say best players, but one of their players actually played better this season. Malik Monk, he's looking to go elsewhere. You got Kendrick Nunn, who sat out the whole season because of a bone bruise. LeBron's getting older. AD's made of freaking glass. Where is this team headed? Like, how do you fix this team? I think you have to blow it up. I think you have to trade. You have to trade LeBron. It's a hot take. Lakers fans aren't going to like it. LeBron fans aren't going to like it. Or you have to trade AD. You have to trade one of them. And I think you have to trade LeBron, because I think teams are going to look at that and they're going to offer way more. Teams are going to offer way more for AD at this point in time, because AD past 2-3 seasons, what has he done? He's played like 36 games, and that's it. That is horrible. You know what I mean? He's just made of glass at this point. But for LeBron, dude, some team will sell out for LeBron just because,
that's facts.
The ratings, the moxie he'll bring to the team, even if it's
everyone.
like they will sell out. So I don't know. To me, I think they should trade LeBron. How do you think, like, what do you think would fix the Lakers going into next season?
Well, I think honestly, like, I think you should trade both AD and LeBron, because I think like one way, like, because they got no picks until like 2027 or like 9, so they don't got any draft picks for like 5 years.
So crazy, man. No draft picks, no cap space.
They got nothing.
What are they gonna do? They're just gonna try and sell out and try and get Zach LaVine on the vet minimum during this offseason. Like, he's not gonna sign for the vet minimum.
No, he wants the money like that, and he's like testing the free agency market too, so he's going to get paid regardless if it's Chicago or someone else. So I think for me, the best option is, like, I feel like there's only there's 3 options. So the Lakers could just re-sign AD, LeBron, Westbrook, and just kind of go through the same crap again. They could just trade LeBron and have it be AD, Westbrook, have it be like a 2-man game. That could be okay. Probably wouldn't go far in the playoffs, but that would be entertaining. And then they could, I think they should just, Westbrook should just go, they should just like take the player option and leave, trade LeBron and AD, because I think that's the only option that could work for the Lakers at the moment, because they got no good young stars. Like I remember all these Lakers fans were talking about, like, what's his name? That bum THT. That guy sucks.
Oh my god!
Like they thought he was
bro.
the second coming of LeBron or some shit. And I'm sorry, or something, right? And like for me, it's like I don't see that. So like for me, I just think you got to blow it up completely. You got to trade LeBron and AD because someone's going to want him. I know, like, many teams need a big. Heck, I bet the Hawks would love AD. I bet the Thunder would. So many teams need a good stretch big, and AD can provide that. He just needs to stay healthy and get better personal trainers, in my opinion.
Oh my god! Imagine the Thunder throw some picks at.
I
Oh
think
my
they
god.
have the picks to
Dude,
do
they
it,
have
dude.
the assets, bro. The Thunder have the assets. Okay,
They
but
have.
before I get off topic, kind of on the topic of poverty teams, just a quick question: what poverty team do you think is in worst position right now? The Lakers or the Knicks?
Oh, that's hard. Honestly, well,
I mean, you look at the Lakers; they have the star power, but they can't stay healthy to save their lives. Westbrook was the only one who stayed healthy, and then you look at the Knicks. And it looks like they're bringing back Thibodeau again. And
yeah,
I mean, they were supposed to make the playoffs this year after getting the 4th seed this
yeah.
last season, and they were completely disappointing. I mean, I told you, I remember once Julius Randle signs that big extension, he's going to fall off the face of this earth. And what
He
happened?
did.
He was nowhere to be found this year. This is RJ Barrett's team, and I
Mhm.
think I think you look at like players like Evan, he was just hit or miss. He was one of those streaky shooters who was brought in on like a $70 billion contract. They just threw money at everyone who they thought. They
Yep.
let Reggie Bullock walk. Look at him being successful with the Mavs, right? I mean, dude, they got Cam Reddish for Kevin Knox. That was a steal, and they didn't even use Cam Reddish. Like, dude, what are they thinking? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I think the New York Knicks are worse. They're the worst poverty team ever.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a good argument for that, because they're arguably one of if not, maybe besides the Charlotte Hornets and the Washington Wizards, probably one of the worst franchises in the NBA. Like, the fans hate the ownership. They can't draft at all. They never get the right pick. I mean, they could have drafted Zion, and RJ Barrett's fine, but he's not Zion. He's not a generational talent. So like, I agree. The only thing I'm like, the only hope as a Knicks fan right now is, like, me personally, is that hopefully Donovan Mitchell, like, I don't know, is a jerk, just wants to leave, and then like maybe he goes to the Knicks, but that's not even that good of an offer. So like for me, it's just like, I don't know. I think I'd rather be like, I think the Knicks are in a way worse place too, because like they really got nothing. The Lakers got nothing to trade, but like, well, I mean, they have things to trade. They have assets. So the Knicks got no assets, and they're just kind of in like a limbo state again, back into like irrelevancy.
So, kind of switching topics and switching gears over here. What do you think happens next season with Damian Lillard? I mean, you look at the Blazers this year.
Oh.
They finished 27-55. I mean, that is just horrible. They only won 17 games like home. They were 1-15 in the division. They were losing a game on average. Worse in the West, they were losing by 9 points a game. And they finished the season on an 11-game losing streak. Granted, Dame wasn't playing, and they traded CJ McCollum. You got Nurkic, but what is Dame doing? Why will he not request a trade?
What I think about the Dame situation in Portland is that I feel like, okay, so I think the Portland Trailblazers are like going to just go for it straight up. Now, they don't have a lot of assets, but I think Portland's realizing that like Dame, even though he says he's loyal, I think that's a lot of BS. So I think he's going to like probably test the free agency market in some tiny way this offseason, and then Portland's going to try and make big moves for free agents. Now, they're probably going to like do kind of what the Lakers did with AD. They're going to give up anything or everything they got to get players they want. So I think they're going to do some crazy stuff trade wise or in free agency to get players. But at the end of the day, I don't think I don't see the Blazers, even if they like are number 2 or 3 seed, I don't see them making a pass to Western Conference Finals. I feel like that's their ceiling. We've already seen that, and I just don't think they're any higher than that. So because we already saw them got swept by the Warriors, and the Warriors are still around. So I think the Portland Blazers, their best bet is getting swept in the WCF. So that's what I see happening.
I mean, you really think they're gonna try and like just keep it going, man? I mean, dude, I'm just looking at this roster. You got Dame, you got Eric Bledsoe, Joe Ingles, Nurkic.
Wait, Eric Bledsoe's on there?
Josh Hart, Chris Dunn. I mean, Simmons was pretty good for them, but granted, dude, he was getting the green light. They were tanking. They were in full on tank mode. He was like their only starting caliber NBA talent. They were playing with G Leaguers the whole season.
Yeah.
I mean, Justice Winslow, trash. Keon Johnson, trash. Nazir Little, trash. Diddy Lazita, trash.
I don't know those players.
Dude, like, dude, all these players, they got Cody Zeller on the team. Like, dude, all these players down here are just so garbage, bro. You're building a team around Dame, and you give him Eric Bledsoe, Joe Ingles, and Nurkic. That's, dude.
Nurkic, yeah. It's not good.
And dude, no one's going to Portland, bro.
No
one's going to Portland to play with Dame. Let's be honest. Like, they're gonna have to sit down. Like, if there's a trade at all, I think it's going to be because Portland wants to move on from them. Because if you're a Portland fan, and I'm not talking like a Dame fan, I'm talking a Portland fan. If you're a Portland fan and you put the team first, you kind of have to take the Oklahoma City Thunder approach, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I say that, you have to move on from Dame. He's great, but he's not going to win a title for Portland, and he's not going to win a title in Portland, bro.
No
one's coming to Portland to play with him. So as long as he's there, Portland will just continue to be, if they make the playoffs, first round exit. They don't make the playoffs, another wasted year. They're not going to be bad enough when he plays fully healthy. They're not going to be bad enough to get a good lottery pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're never going to be good enough to win it all. So I don't get it.
So, this is a hot take. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I don't consider Dame a superstar because, like, okay, I don't know how you feel about that. Because, like, I know you don't like Dame, but, like, I don't like him either. But, like, I'm just saying this unbiasedly. I don't think he's a superstar because, for one, he doesn't have the accolades or anything to back him up. He's, like, 30 years old, and, like, he doesn't have any MVPs. He hasn't made any deep playoff runs. So, to me, like, he's not really, like, he's not untouchable. So, like, but the reason I was saying that I think Portland want to go on a run with him is because that's all they got, right? So, like, I think, like, similar to what OKC did when, like, Durant left. OKC was like, all right, we'll get people like Paul George or Carmelo Anthony. We'll try to run it back. And not saying it was successful, but I think Portland's going to be in the state of limbo for a while. Where, like, I think they're thinking, oh, we got off CJ, so now we can get Dame another star through cap space, which is what I don't think it's a right mindset, but I think that's what they're thinking. So, like, okay, what's your opinion? Do you think Dame's a superstar? Like not even so much just to carry a team, but just like, is he a superstar? Because I would consider him a superstar.
Like, are you saying like this season? Or are you saying like
his career
going into next season is basically what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, going into next season, I think he's a superstar, but this season, hell no, not even close. I mean, the man only played like 20 games and he only averaged like 24 points. But you look at like his body of work, like you said, I don't like Dame, so I kind of hate that I'm like having to defend him. But you look at his body of work, it's not that great as far as what you said, like accolades. I think his best accolades like rookie of the year.
Yep.
That's nothing to like be like.
Yeah, exactly. That's not superstar
like
caliber.
He's like a 5-time All-Star, but like, dude, you just look at the team around him, and I get it. Especially with like Luka and Trae Young. I mean, look at the teams around them, and
they're not that good. Like, and they're making the Eastern Conference Finals.
So, I mean, dude, I don't know. Like, I think Dame, especially last year, I think Dame was one of the top point guards for sure. I think he was a top 3 point guard, no doubt. But this season, no, not at all. But going into next season when he's healthy,
you're right.
I don't expect him to skip a beat. Now, I didn't expect freaking James Harden to skip a beat. He fell off the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Point guards can like regress really fast. So, I mean, going into next season, I'm assuming he's going to be a superstar. I know it's kind of beating around the bush or under question, but this season, definitely not. What about
No,
you?
I don't think he's. I don't think the Portland Trailblazers. Wait, what was the question again? Sorry. Like, what are you saying?
Do you think Dame will be a superstar next season?
No, I honestly like I think he's not going to play bad, but he's not going to like be playing like the Dame we know. I think he's going to fall off. Honestly, I'm just being. I think he's going to fall off because what I think
What was his injury? What was his injury anyway?
I honestly don't know, and I think he was also playing bad because remember, like they changed the ball. Like remember, NBA players were struggling shooting the ball because they like I guess they switched the ball from like some brand of
Oh,
Wilson.
yeah, they switched. Yep, Spalding to
Like
Wilson.
Paul George was playing like crap, but then like all the NBA players all of a sudden got used to it. I think Dame was playing during that period of like where everyone's trying to get used to the ball, so that's where everyone was shooting bad because like it's like it's not like this is like a huge change, but when you play with that ball for so long, you kind of like used to the way you shoot it. So I think that kind of affected his game. So I'm not taking that against him. I don't think the body of work this year has a lot to say, but to me, I just don't think he's a quality enough player to carry on to a deep playoff run. So I think that if they make a trade, I think Portland's going to make a trade and try to go for it. And I think they're going to lose. That's what I see happening. And then after that, then they're going to blow it up. But what I think they should do is just blow it up now, get picks, and just tank like the Thunder are doing.
Okay, I can respect that. So I have a very interesting question. So this season specifically, I don't care about past, I don't care about the accolades. This season, who is your top three players in the NBA this season?
That's actually not too hard, honestly. Like I think it would be Jokic.
This is in order, right?
Yeah, in order. I'm gonna go. Actually, it's like it's kind of like this is kind of like easy, but this is my opinion. So I think it's Jokic, Embiid, and pretty is hard. Third one, I'm gonna say Giannis. Like, because I
Okay,
think
yeah, no,
I
that's exactly how I was thinking too. I was going to ask you then. Sorry to interrupt, but I was going to ask you, what do you think of the people who say LeBron or Kevin Durant were top three this season? How do you feel about that? Because I
I
completely disagree.
I disagree too because like Durant was hurt and like that kind of like that took him out of the season a little bit, and like and while I honestly think Durant was almost I wouldn't say he was an MVP, but he was in that conversation for a bit early on when he was playing like just basically by himself with like a crappy Harden. So, but like with his injury and like the fact that like he fell apart in the playoffs and like he choked some big games away. I don't think he's a top three. I don't think he's top three. LeBron, I think at his age, I don't LeBron's just a scorer now. Like, and I don't blame him. He's 37. He can't play like that. He can't play like he did in Miami, or he could like be a two-way guard, lock down people, right? But like, I just don't think because like both players really only did it at one end of the floor, whereas I feel like Giannis, Embiid, and Jokic both did it at both ends. You know what I mean?
I agree. And kind of, shifting the topic, I really want to hear your thoughts on this because I'm pretty sure me and you both agree that Jokic deserves to win the MVP this
Yeah,
season. They haven't
100%.
announced it yet, but I agree with you. I think he should win it. But what do you say to the people? Because there is a pretty wide demographic of people who think Joel Embiid deserves to win it. What do you think of those people?
I don't have a problem with those people, but I do have a problem with the people who say Giannis should win it because I don't think Giannis has had now Giannis's team. The Bucks have had dealt with injuries this season, but not to the level. I would say early in the season I had Jokic as MVP, not Embiid as MVP because he was playing without Ben Simmons, basically carrying the Sixers to a fifth seed. So I had him as an MVP then, but then he got James Harden, so that kind of changed my odds. Now I'll be honest, I won't be super pissed off if Embiid gets it because Embiid like, I mean, now in the playoffs, we're kind of seeing Harden's a little out of his prime. So I won't be mad personally if Embiid gets it. Plus, Embiid won a scoring title. So I'm not mad if Embiid gets it. But what I'd ask those people is like, you got to look at the roster Jokic had at the beginning of the year. He didn't have MPJ or Jamal Murray, two of the top three players on that team. And if you look at
Max
the team,
players too. They both
yeah,
are on max contracts.
right. And like you got to look at the team. Like that team is not good. We saw that team in the playoffs against the Warriors, and they
Yes.
were awful. Now they won one game, but it took like a
In
game winning
spite of
shot.
Jokic. In spite of Jokic, man. They won that
Yeah,
game in spite of him.
right. No, yeah, it's fact. Like I just think you look at the roster and Jokic's record, the Nuggets record was pretty close to the Bucks and Sixers. Honestly, like, it wasn't that far off. In fact, I think it was better than one of the records. So I think that Jokic takes the MVP back to back. And I don't mind Embiid getting it, but Giannis definitely shouldn't. Now, and just because it's like Giannis, like he's playing great, but he's had star talent around him almost the whole year when he's played. So I think Jokic, he's played the most games. I think he has, and he's had to deal with the worst injuries. So I take Jokic MVP 100%.
Dude, another thing people just seem to overlook, like, yeah, the thing I think is just crazy is what you said. Jokic is playing without two max contract players. Like no other player is doing what he did with the roster he had, right?
Yeah.
And then you look at the fact of like his efficiency is just off the charts. He was
Oh
number
yeah.
one. He was number one. Like he was the best when it came to being efficient, bro, which is crazy for a center. Like he wasn't just like, sitting in the paint and being a free throw merchant like Giannis and Embiid. Both those guys average over 12 free throws a game. That's ridiculous. Jokic doesn't average that many free throws. Jokic doesn't even average. He's not even in the top 10 in free throws average. And look what he's
Yeah.
doing. He's putting up these crazy numbers.
Yeah, he's a stat machine.
Oh yeah, he's probably going to be the new triple double king in the near future. But
yeah,
I have this 2022 All Star lineup, and that like I did not understand this year's All Stars at all. Like
I forgot that
the fan votes never cease to amaze me. But please explain to me how Andrew Wiggins was a starter.
No, I think it's like the Steph Curry effect.
All-Star.
It's just a Steph Curry thing. When you play with him, like people just go to vote for you. I don't know why. It's just a thing I think I noticed. I don't know.
How was he a starter though?
I really don't know, dude. Like I'm as confused as you are. Like he didn't really do anything number wise that was that impressive.
Dude, like he averaged 17, 2, and 4, and he started over the likes of Devin Booker, Zach LaVine, dude, Karl Anthony Towns. Like the list just goes on, bro. How the Luka Doncic didn't even start? How did he start?
I don't know, dude. It's freaking sad. I'd rather have Jordan Poole over that bum. And that guy was a number one pick bust. Those are the worst ones. He should never he shouldn't be starting. It's terrible.
Dude, I'm sorry. Some of these players did not deserve to be here. Starting with, I like Fred VanVleet, but I don't know how he was an All-Star this year. 21, 6, and 4. Like, we're really giving that's an All-Star, really? Chris Paul, 14, 10, and 4. Really? Whatever. DeJounte Murray, like, dudes, there's so many players that just made it this year. I'm just like, how in the world did they make it? LaMelo Ball averaging 19 points a game made it. Like, what are we doing, bro?
It's bad. I want to go back to the playoffs. So, with the remaining series left, who do you think is going to make the finals, and like who's going to win the finals? Because for me, right now, I got the Bucks in 7. I got the Heat in 4 or 5. I got the Warriors in 6, I'd say. And then I have, I think it's like the Suns in 5. And then I have the Suns beating the Warriors in 7, make it to the finals. And then I have the freaking, I got the Bucks beating the Heat and going to the finals. So I think it's gonna be a Suns Bucks rematch. It's kind of sad, but I think the Bucks will win again personally. In 6 or 7.
So of the 8 teams left right now, I think the West will be Suns, Warriors. And I'm actually very intrigued about that matchup because the Warriors play super small.
Yeah.
With Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Steph Curry. So I don't know how the Suns will match up with that. That could either go like Suns and 5, or it could go Suns and 7. I really don't know. I ultimately do have the Suns, though, winning that series just because of the size. DeAndre Ayton's probably going to feast in the paint if Monty Williams is smart and puts him in position to be successful. And then in the East, like I said, it just depends on tomorrow because I fully expect the 76ers to get one of those shocking wins that no one expects them to win. And then Embiid comes back game 4. They tie it 2-2. It's a 7-game series, and the Philly wins. So,
right.
It's based on tomorrow. I think Philly wins with all those scenarios I said. And then I think the Bucks also win. And then if the Bucks get Chris Middleton back and the 76ers get Embiid at least to 75% by that series start, I think that's also a 7-game series. And I think Philly wins that series. I think Philly goes to the finals. and I think they play the Suns, and I think that's a 6 to 7 game series, and I think Philly wins that series, and I think Joel Embiid wins Finals MVP. James Harden gets over the hump. Chris Paul's the laughing stock of the NBA still, can't win a ring, cry about it. I don't care. Those are my thoughts.
So is that like what you want to happen, or is that what you
No,
genuinely think is going to happen?
that's what I think is going to happen. What I want to happen, I want the 76ers to obviously win. I want the Celtics to win. And then on the West, I want the Mavs to win. Like, are you kidding me? And then I want the Warriors to win. And I want Luka to go to the finals.
Yeah.
That's what I want to happen. But, like, it's not going to happen. There's no shot at it.
Me,
Now, obviously, go to that Philly series. So, like I said, like, if Miami wins tomorrow, they're going to win the series. And that dude, like, Miami can win this. Miami can win it, bro. Miami can actually win it this year. Like, which is crazy. Like, imagine we get Miami Bucks, Eastern Conference Finals, the trilogy. Dude, because they played the last 2 seasons.
I think I actually foresee that. I really want to see the Miami Bucks rematch, because I honestly, like I said 7, but I think right now, I think the Heat are a deeper team than the Bucks. And I think honestly, like the Heat might be a bit more hungry and well coached by Spoelstra to beat the Bucks, because I think they can build that wall. I think I remember last year I thought the Heat were going to win that series, but then Victor Oladipo got hurt for the trade, and then they got swept. But like that was the thing. I was like, oh yeah, they can beat them, but they didn't beat them. But I think with the Heat having home court, Victor Oladipo, and a really deep roster, and Tyler Hero's actually starting to play good again. Like he hasn't been this good in a minute. So I don't know. I'll take the Bucks in 7, but I wouldn't be surprised the Heat win and go to the finals. And I think honestly the Heat could beat the Suns, because I think the Heat are a hungrier team and they're deeper.
Oh yeah.
No, I
think they can beat I think the Suns only have a chance of winning the finals if they play an injured team, like a star player's out, or if they play like the I honestly don't think they beat the 76ers. No way they beat the Celtics. No way they beat the Bucks. No, I don't see the Suns winning. I think the Warriors could possibly be one of those teams, but I don't think the Suns can unless one of them are injured.
I think the Suns, like I think the Suns could beat the Sixers, just because I feel like if you take Embiid,
you just hate James Harden. That's why, right?
No, I really don't hate James Harden. I honestly don't mind him. Look, I don't mind him leaving Brooklyn because of Kyrie. Like I don't have any problem with that. But I just think Harden's washed. My biggest issue with like a Sixers Suns finals is like I don't trust James Harden in big games, and I think.
Oh, you trust Chris Paul though? Really?
I know. It's not. No. It's not that. It's just like, look, like Chris Paul's overrated. I know everyone's freaking out on Twitter about like, oh, look, he's like a demon in the fourth quarter. But do they not know all the O2 leads he's blown? Like I just sent you that clip where it was that Thunder Clippers series, and they're up with 5 points, like a minute left, and Chris Paul threw a costly turnover and like let Westbrook make his free throws, and the Thunder won that game, and Doc Rivers was shook. So like for me, my problem with it is I don't trust Doc Rivers in the finals, like at all. I don't trust James Harden. I think he's washed. And I think really the Suns, it's simple. If you double Embiid with, okay, I don't even have a double, just put Ayton on Embiid. Embiid's going to get his buckets, but you can slow Embiid down, in my opinion. And like, I just don't. The thing about the Bucks is like they have Middleton and Holiday who can also score and play some level of defense. Whereas I feel like I just don't trust Harden in the big finals game. And I feel like the Suns would just I think the Suns would beat Philly in like 5. Like five or 6. I'd say 5 or 6. The Suns would beat them if I'm being completely honest. Now the Bucks, I think the Bucks would beat the Suns 6 or 7 again, because I think Giannis would just dominate Ayton again.
Dude, I'm just a loss of words, man. Like you think CP3, you're saying all this about James Harden not showing up in big moments, but you think CP3 has what it takes all of a sudden?
I'm not. I mean, but like I just don't trust James Harden. Also, like it's kind of a mixed bag, because like I think that's really hard. Like CP3 or Harden. I know Harden's MVP. I just feel like he's at the edge of his career. And I think the Suns are a deeper team than the Sixers. And I just think that they're a more well-rounded coach team. So I trust them. I don't think Chris Paul or Devin Booker are superstars, but in terms of like the team itself, I just think they're better than the Sixers all around. I think they beat them in 5 or 6. So
yeah, I think opinion. What you said is kind of blasphemous about the whole throwing DeAndre Ayton on Joel Embiid, and that'll potentially slow him down. Dude, they have a long history of like beef because Joel Embiid calls him his son. He calls DeAndre Ayton his son because every time they play, he drops 30 on him. So I don't necessarily agree with
But
what you said about the whole
but can
like
but can
he could possibly slow him down.
but can
If
Harden
anything,
get 30?
they would have to double Joel Embiid. And if they double him, it's just going to create more opportunities for his teammates, and that's when his bread and butter. Because Joel Embiid's also a good passer. You know what I mean?
No, he's a great passer, but he's
Hit his
passing it
open
too.
teammates, hit Korkmaz, hit Shake Milton, hit Niang,
Yeah,
hit their
but
threes.
you're
It's a
missing
make or miss league.
Danny
Look at
Green.
Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder's been one of those players in the finals who just disappears.
Oh yeah, he
You get
does disappear.
days. Dude, that was a rough finals. You know what I mean?
Okay, but you don't want to forget Danny Green though. Like Danny Green's going to take some shots, and we've seen him in the Lakers final. Remember he bricked that open Game 5 shot in
Listen,
like the bubble.
I'm not here to defend Danny Green at all. I agree.
Yeah,
Danny Green sucks for sure. Like
also Tobias Harris just choked.
But I look at it this way, dude. The 76ers are going to have the best player in the series.
They will. They will.
I mean, that's the advantage. Typically, whoever has the best player, not all the time, but typically whoever has the best player wins the finals. Look at last year in that series. Who had the best player? Bucks did. Giannis just dominated them. Dude, DeAndre Ayton, this happens every year. We talk about it too. DeAndre Ayton, his stats kind of look,
decent.
All right. And his defense doesn't get exposed in the regular season because he's not playing the same team, 4 times a week. You know what I mean? But whenever he starts to play these teams with dominant bigs, whether it's a Giannis, whether it's Joel Embiid, whether it's Jokic, dude, his defense is cooked, bro. His defense looks like Steven Adams Game 7 versus the Houston Rockets, bro. His perimeter defense is horrible. Like pick and roll, he gets cooked. His paint defense is all right, but like whenever he's matched up against like a Giannis or an Embiid, dude, I don't trust him at all. I don't see how you have the faith in him slowing down Joel Embiid.
Well, there's more factors I take into account. So like another question is, can Embiid stay healthy to the finals? That's another issue I have because like we've seen Embiid's already gotten injured. I don't know if Embiid can sustain a healthy playoff run to even get to the finals. And let's say even if he gets there, I don't know if he'll be able to stay healthy that whole series because we've seen Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, so many players go out in big games. I just don't know if Embiid's going to take a lot of hits against the Suns. Like he's going to get. Like I'm not saying he's gonna get pounded like MJ in the 90s or the Pistons, but he's gonna get hit. So like for me, it's like I just think that Embiid's not gonna be able to remain healthy enough to get there, and I don't trust Harden to pick up his slack in big games either. So I just unless Tyrese Maxey just keeps performing at like this high level, which I think he can, but Harden at some point in these finals or in these bigger series who have to step up and play like that Houston Harden did. But I just don't think he has anything more left in him, in my opinion.
I think tomorrow's game will kind of say a lot, it
will.
Like especially if Philly does win, like Philly wins and Harden, shows up to everyone's expectations. That's the thing that everyone's expecting Harden to be that, Houston James Harden where he was just dropping 40 points every single game.
Right.
But I think his role is just a little bit more different. I mean, like James Harden even like expressed in his post-game interview, like he's getting face guarded by PJ Tucker. Like, dude, the thing is, the Miami Heat, their defense, people don't understand like how they defend. They don't just understand how they defend teams in the playoffs. Like I saw it firsthand with Trae Young. They literally were face guarding him with 2 defenders and not letting him do anything. They were not letting him dribble penetrate. They were doubling him. They were hedging on the sides. They weren't letting him operate at all. They were making him make his teammates make the plays. And that's what James Harden was trying to do the past 2 games, trying to get his teammates involved. And we saw what happened. I mean, Tobias Harris was like 5 for 17 in the third quarter. That's not going to win you a game. You know what I mean? The 76ers were right there in the third quarter, the past 2 games. But when you start it's a make or miss league. You start missing shots in the fourth quarter. The Heat goes on a run. Tyler Hero gets hot. It's going to be hard to beat them because they're not going to let James Harden beat them. They're not going to. So I won't be surprised if James Harden doesn't, drop 30 or 40 and they win because what they're doing is doing exactly what they did to Trae Young. They're not letting him beat them. They're making the teammates beat them. So that's what I'm saying. Like Shake Milton, Korkmaz, Niang, these guys have to step up. It's got to be more like in a series where it's like the Suns, that could be a breakout series for James Harden or even against the Bucks because those teams don't defend like the Heat do. Like that Heat defense, I mean, that system they have has been working so good for them the past decade. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like night and day for them.
right. But I also think like the Heat could make a big playoff run because they know how to defend Giannis. We've seen him now not last year, but the year before. Teams that build a wall against Giannis, it can work. But I think a big reason also why the Celtics blew out. Well, they made a lot of shots, but also it's like when Giannis gets a wall or doubled, other guys got to make shots, and the Bucks didn't make shots, whereas the Celtics just kind of made like 23s, which is probably not going to happen again. But that's what you're going to have to look for. So I think that my problem with the Sixers is like they traded, like I thought they traded more than they had to for Simmons to go away, but they don't have Danny Green, which was a good shooter off from the starting. Was he starting or no? I don't remember. Seth Curry, was he starting?
Seth Curry was starting, yes.
Okay, so like they lost a good shooter. Andre Drummond, he hasn't been good defensively for the Nets. Like he was bad, but he would get you rebounds off the bench. So I think that, I think at the end of the day, I just think it's going to be an issue for them.
I'm not even joking. I looked up, got SportsCenter on the back, and it showed Doc Rivers talking, and it had like a little highlight underneath, and it said, Doc Rivers has never overcome a 2-0 a 2-0 deficit. He's 0-4 and 2-0 deficits.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's going to change now, so I don't trust the Sixers now, but yeah, no, I don't see it happen. I don't see the Sixers winning this series at all. I think the Heat are just going to smother Harden, and like if Embiid was coming back tomorrow, I would give the Sixers a chance, but I just think they're going to go down. I think the Sixers have a shot to steal the game, but I don't think they'll win in Philly tomorrow. I just think that Harden's just going to like get crap talked to him, and it's just going to be rough for him in Philly. Like I think it'll be. I don't think if Harden doesn't start out shooting great, and like let's say he's like if he starts shooting bad early on, the fans are going to let him know, and I think it's going to hurt his confidence, and he's just going to play worse as the game goes on. And honestly, I think it'll help the Heat more than the Sixers to an extent. So I think the Sixers lose tomorrow. Personally,
I don't think James Harden's going to have a box score good game tomorrow. Like no. I think people are going to look at the box score and be like, "Where's James Harden at?" But
yeah,
I still think they're going to win, man. I think he's going to have at least 10 assists.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to be enough, But as far as points and his production from the field goals, he's probably going to have another rough shooting night because the way they're guarding it, man. Like when you watch the game, just watch how they play defense. It's actually kind of crazy. Like they'll leave Mott's open, they'll leave Shake Milton open, they'll leave Niang open because these guys have not been hitting their shots recently. And when you're not hitting their shots, it just gives the defense confidence.
I really like the way the Miami Heat play defense because when you like analyze it, it's like it's so much like it's really random, but it's like very chaotic, but it has like a system in place. Like because like I noticed like they double switch so much. They'll like they're scheming and stuff so weird, and you think it's just them running in circles. Like it doesn't make sense, but I feel like every set has a purpose almost. It's like because they don't play like a traditional NBA defense. It's kind of like goes man to man. Like they'll double, they'll switch, they'll make a hard on anyone, and they'll just leave people open. So like I like that about their defense. Like you don't know how to predict it or control it, So like the Nets, they just have really no like defensive identity. Or the Heat, they're just sporadic. They're all in your face. You don't know where they're coming from, what angle, which makes them deadly and kind of dangerous on a like offensive level if you're the other team. So I think that the Heat got a good shot to close it out tomorrow because I think they'll just smother Harden. And I think Maxey will have another good game, but I just don't trust Tobias. I think Tobias Harris will play better, but just not good enough to win, in my opinion.
So you think the Philly fans will start booing James Harden and company tomorrow?
I think yes. I think fourth quarter, if they're down like 10, Harden's going to get booed.
Oh, no. You know what? I could actually see that like happening, like fourth quarter, like Philly's down 10. But I think they would use that to like rally back, and I feel like I don't know. I have a weird feeling. I feel like Shake Milton will hit like a clutch shot tomorrow, and like I feel like a Shake Milton or George Niang, Korkmaz. I feel like one of those players is going to like go off for like 17 or 21 points tomorrow. I have a weird feeling about it.
Right. No, I see what you mean, but I think the Bucks could honestly repeat, and I just don't think the Sixers. I think. That's gonna be a rough series. I don't know, man. I really want to see like I hope we get like a Bucks Heat or like a Celtics Heat matchup because that would be really cool.
I would love Celtics Heat, man. I would love that.
That
so
would be a
much.
good matchup because like that was like I remember like it was in the bubble. They played in the Eastern Conference Finals and like Adebayo, I think it was Adebayo. He blocked Tatum's shot, and that was a good series. It went 6, I think. So
With the finger, man. I
yeah,
remember that.
that was a good one. Yeah, I just I don't know. These have been really good playoffs. They were better than last year's first round. And I think that Suns Pelicans was way better than I thought it was going to be because of the injury. And like I didn't expect like these freaking random G leaguers to step up like that on the Pelicans. That coach did a really good job.
Yeah, Alvarado, man, he was.
Yeah, he was like cooking Chris Paul a bit. He was stealing the ball. Like, yeah. One thing I think we should like. One of the things we could maybe close on is like, do you think Chris Paul is going to win a ring? Like, or do you think it like he doesn't have a shot? Like, because if there's any chance for him to win it, it's probably this year. Do you think he like gets a ring in his career, or do you think he's just going to end up ringless in the Hall of Fame?
I think Chris Paul will never win a ring, and I think his best opportunity was last season whenever he had his team up 2-0, and I believe they're even winning at one point in Game 3 before Giannis had this crazy block in the third quarter and just went on a tear, and then the Bucks ended up winning 4 games straight. That is the biggest choke job I've ever seen in humanity. Chris Paul isn't even a top 5 point guard to me. I don't care. Argue with your mother. What he has done in his career, yeah, he's been very efficient from assist to turnover ratio, but he does impact winning in the regular season. But when it comes to playoffs, I don't care. Like none of that matters. Like yes, every team he has been on statistically has got better every year. Since or every year prior, you know what I mean? So every team he's like kind of went to, there's been like a giant shift in the winning percentage. And yeah, he does that for the regular season. But Gunnar, what has he done in the playoffs other than choke 2-0 leads, choke a 3-1 lead to the Rockets? Well, what does he do? He was up 2-0 just last year in the finals. What happened?
It didn't go well.
We hope you guys enjoyed episode 1 of the And One podcast. Make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications, and we'll catch you on the next one.